Today we're drawing a mountain laurel. I'll be taking you step by step through my process from pencil sketch, ink details, and shading. If you're drawing along, you can find the material notes and downloadable sketch in the notes, but please feel free to use whatever you have on hand. Most of all, I hope you enjoy the process, make it your own. Let's get started. All right, I'm just gonna jump right in here. I'm just using a mechanical pencil I picked up at Michael's, nothing's fancy, and a pad of drawing paper. The reference photo is up at the top just so you can see what this flower is like. Now you're going to notice I'm not actually drawing this exact specimen, but the important thing whenever you're doing a drawing is to really study it. What is the shape of it? What's the habit of the plant? Here we can see some basic information that can allow us just to draw in any configuration that we'd like. It's a cup shape. It's got some sepals on the back. It's got stamens coming out of the center. The edges of the stamens are darkened. There's a little bit of a ring around the center, if you notice, which I'm going to emphasize in my drawing. And you can do whatever you like in yours. So here I'm just doing an outline of the rough shape and then drawing in some of the stamens. Again, if you would like my exact drawing, feel free to download it in the notes and trace it. I sped stuff up here. Feel free to pause it, slow it down, take your time. I'm just doing this for the sake of the length of this video. Again, you'll notice I'm orienting them different ways. Some of the cup centers are facing us, some are pointing away. This gives it more dynamic realism. And the leaves here are just coming down, pretty simple shape. Some of the unblossomed flowers too have an interesting shape, so I'm drawing in some of those. Now I'm going in and just tracing what I did in pencil with my Micron. I think I'm using a 005. You can use whatever you like. A lot of people just do straight ink. I rarely ever do that. All right, now I'm drawing in some of the stamens. They kind of arch, and I'm trying to make it look organic, so I'm not going to make them all exactly the same. Now I also mentioned I see this little ring inside that I decided I want to emphasize. I've researched the flower, and in some of them it's very defined, and others it's more subtle, so I like it with a little more definition. So again, I'm just doing this with pencil, and it kind of looks like a mess, to be honest, but it helps me see if I like the proportions. I also just like to test out shading techniques. Whenever I'm doing drawings, at some point I got to decide where is the light source coming from so that I can add just some subtle shading that will help it feel more real. So I've decided my light is coming from up and to the right. So then I'm going to darken the sides that wouldn't be facing that light. Now I'm going in and I'm just putting lines in between the stamens. I don't want those lines of the ring around the cup to cross over the stamens. And notice they're kind of a dotted line, so I'm doing a little bit of short strokes actually away from the center along that line that I've just drawn. I'm going to erase my pencil marks. And I'm going to come in and just pull a light stroke from the center to cause a little bit of depth in that center of the flower where it goes, where the stamen are coming out of. And then sometimes what I think of is not always just shading, like where's the light coming from, but also what can suggest a form. So these lines I'm putting in are along the edges, which there's not deep shade there, but I would like to create a sense of it being a 3D object. Now I'm just darkening the tips of the stamen. I also have a confession to make. Every single drawing I've ever done in my whole life, my pencil sketch always makes me think I can't draw, because it's usually sort of messy, just a suggestion of where I might put things. And even when I start inking stuff in at the beginning, I'm always like, oh man, this is not good. So whatever yours looking like right now, just let's follow the process and see where it goes. So I've done my first flower, darkening those edges where the light wouldn't be shining as bright on. Pulling in a few more little hints of shape, little dashes that can just create a little bit of folding on some of the petals. So this is kind of my first attempt at shading this cup. I'm doing the back now with the sepals, and then I will move on to the next flower and do the exact same process. It's very likely I'll come back to the first flower once I have a few of them done and I can kind of step back and say, okay, what's missing? Does this represent the shape accurately? Again, starting with the stamens, then I'm creating a little bit of darkening on the ends of the, the tips and that ring that I like, just dashing that in and then darkening it. And I'm doing that, those really short strokes that are out from the center along that line of that ring. Adding a little bit of shading to the edges of the stamens and darkening that edge. Now I'm pulling that same little shading up from the center. I've got my pencil back out and I'm just kind of putting in some lines to see what I think about how that looks. Going over it with pen, and then I'll erase the pencil. I'm gonna go ahead and speed up this video. I'm just gonna repeat that same exact process all the way around. As you're shading, keep in mind, is another flower blocking the light and shading? Like you can see, I kind of made the center of that one and the edge much darker than I did the first one because that other flower is blocking it. Do kind of the basic inking and then think about where the light source is and add in just like a thicker or darker line away from where the light would be. A friendly reminder that It is okay for these flowers to be not exact representations of whatever sample you're using, a reference photo, specimen. And flowers are all like have the same basic characteristics in a type, but they're all a little different. And that's the beautiful thing about nature is the variety within even a specimen. That means there's a lot of freedom in how your petals fall or what they look like when they're squished. It's okay. You can be a bit creative with it. And you can, if I always prefer to have a live specimen if possible, and I can manipulate it, I can look at it, I can fold it, I can put light from different sources, I can feel it. And that's always my preference, but I don't live in Connecticut. This is the state flower of Connecticut, so I am using a photo. I'm really liking how this is starting to look now that the shading is going into more of the flowers. Like I said, I always have a lot of self-doubt at the beginning, but it's just a reminder to follow the creative process and just see where it leads. I'm going to erase pencil lines now. Okay, now I notice the center stem of these leaves is a bit thicker. So this vein. So I'm going to draw just a parallel line to the first one that I did. And oops, my pen flew out of my hand. Now I'm going to pull in some lines for the shading that go the same direction along the leaf lengthwise and up from the tip. There's obviously some shadow cast by the flowers, so it'll be darker right up there where the two meet, and then down at the tip where it's bending over away from the light. And I'm happy with that, so I'm going to go in with my pen, trace over that. And I'm going to repeat that process with all the leaves. Sorry, I paused my video and forgot to hit record, but I sketched in a few little buds that haven't bloomed yet, and I'm inking those in because I noticed I had kind of a gap at the top of my flowers. And I'm just going to add some shading on that left side of the stem that would be away from the light source, and do that on the edge of these buds as well. All right, here's my Mountain Laurel drawing. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I will always come back to it and add little tweaks and darken spaces and maybe add in a flower or two. Thanks for drawing with me. I hope this brought a little calm and creativity to your day. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like, comment, or subscribe so you won't miss the next flower in the series.